Hi, welcome to another lecture of JS Yatra. In this particular lecture, we are going to implement our own version of Promise.any. The level of this question is medium, so without wasting any time, let's get started. Understand what Promise.any is, and trust me, this is completely opposite to Promise.all. So we'll compare. You'll get to know eventually how this is opposite. But before that, let's try to understand what MDN has to tell us about Promise.any. Promise.any static method takes iterable of promises as input and returns a single promise. So this is common for all promise.all and promise.all settled as well. This return promise fulfills when any of the input promise fulfills with the first fulfillment value. All right. So this is the catch. So in the iterable, so let's say if any of the promise get resolved, so promise.any would return that particular promise, okay, that fulfilled value. It will not wait for other promises to like show, okay, if in promise 1, promise 2, promise 3, promise 2 get resolved first, then it will just return out the value of promise 2 and it will not care about promise 1 and promise 3 anymore. So this was one thing. And what about the case of rejection? So in case of rejection, when all of the input promise reject, including when the array iterable is passed, okay, so if you pass empty array or when all of the input promise are rejected, it throws a rejection error and it will aggregate all the errors. Okay, what is this aggregator error? So aggregator error represents an error with several errors need to be wrapped in a single error. So aggregate means to collect, to combine. So aggregator error is saying that if I want to throw some error, but that error contains array of multiple errors, okay, there are multiple errors in that particular aggregated error, then we use aggregator error for that. And you can see that we can create aggregator error like this, new aggregator error, and then you pass the array, okay, this is the array, and you pass all the errors over here, okay. So we are going to use this aggregator error in promise.any. So I hope this is clear. And jumping to the example over here, you can see that we have a promise 1, promise 2, promise 3, and promise 1 is rejecting with 0, promise 2 is resolving with quick, and promise 3 is resolving with slow with 500 milliseconds. So if we run this, you can see that we are only getting quick as the final output when consuming promise.any. So if I increase the time to, let's say, 700, then it would give us slow, okay. And let's suppose if all of these arrays, if all of these values are rejected, like this, and I one second, I think I'm doing something wrong. Okay, this is not what I expected. Actually, reject is always a second param. Yeah, so now this should work. And actually this was throwing the error. So this is the error case was not handled over here. So if I just try dot catch console dot log error, you can see that there is a aggregator error. All the promises were rejected, but I'm still not able to see all the promises, all the rejected errors over here. So to fetch that, I guess you have to write error.errors. So if you write error.errors, and you can see that all of the error messages are over here. We can also check that if it is a aggregator error or not. You can get the message, you can get the name, but all we concern about is this error.errors thing. So this is the promise.any. So what is the difference? If any of the promise gets resolved, I just return that promised value, that fulfilled value. And the case of errors are two. First, if we pass empty array, so it would be rejected, or if all of the promises are rejected, then it would return us the aggregator error. So these are the three scenarios that we have to take care of. And if we go to the code playground, we are still using the same code that we use for promise.all settled. I just renamed the function name with promise.any so that you don't get confused. And over here, the first two examples are pretty much same. And this is the case of resolution where the promise get resolved. And this was the rejection example one, where one promise is resolving but another promise is getting rejected. And there is a third scenario, example 2, rejection example 2, where both the promises are getting rejected, and one is getting rejected at 100 millisecond and one at 200. So what would be the case in that scenario as well? So this is the example, and let us write the code for it. So yeah, so over here, first thing first, like things are going to change a little bit. So the first thing is that if the pending count, okay, so if the pending count, so if the array dot length is empty, then I just have to reject it right away. So instead of resolving, I have to reject it. So to reject it, we need a reject parameter over here, and I am going to reject over here like this. But what do we have to actually reject? So it always rejects an aggregator error. So new, let me new aggregator error, and it is an empty array. Okay, so there is, so if we are passing empty array, then it is going to reject with empty aggregator error. Okay, this is fine. And we are going to maintain an output array, and this thing we can, I guess, move at the beginning, because we actually don't need this. We want to keep this over here so that we don't create the array, okay, unnecessarily over here. So if the array dot length is empty, we can return it right away. Otherwise, I create the output over here has to be array of errors, so I can call it as errors. Okay, and this is the pending count. Okay, how many promises are pending. Then we are having array dot for each item index try const value await item. If it is resolved right away, then as Promise.any is saying that even if one promise get resolved, you just resolve it right away and do not execute anything else. So I am just going to resolve it with value right away, and we just return. Okay, we don't care about anything else. But what if there is a case of error? If there is a case of error, then I would want to put my errors. I want to put my errors with maintaining the order like this. Okay, and we can decrement it like this. But obviously, we would not want to decrease a pending count for the trial states, because in the try block, if the condition is successful, then it is already resolved and returned. So there is obviously no code would be running over here like this. So all of this code about pending and rejecting can be shifted to the catch block. So I am decrementing the count. Okay, so there is, so if we are having any catch statement, okay, so we had encountered one catch statement. And similarly, if the array length, so if all of these three promises, for example, are rejected, then the pending count would actually become 0 at one scenario, and we have to actually reject our promise over here. Okay, and when we are rejecting, we have to make sure that we are rejecting in a similar fashion like this. We are rejecting with the aggregator error, and instead of empty array, we pass the errors. Okay, and this should ideally work for us, and we can come and clear the console and see if it is working or not. Okay, we are seeing 5 over here. This is fine because it is immediately getting resolved, but we are not seeing other values, and maybe that is because I am not logging the output. Okay, so we have to log this, we have to log this as well, and let's see if it is working. Uncaught error. Wait, what am I missing? Okay, so we are getting 10. This is promise.resolve. This is working fine. This is a catch statement P5 and P6. And this should run as well. Maybe it is running. Why it is running? Because P5 and 6. So why this example 2 is not running? Okay, I got the error. It has to be E over here. And let us clear this console and run it again. All right. So over here, I guess this is working just fine for us. In the example 1, it was having 5 because P0 got immediately resolved. Then we didn't care about P1 and P2. For rejection example 1, P3 was getting resolved and P4 got rejected after 200 ms. And since P3 got resolved before, so we didn't care about P4 at all and we logged out 10. And in the scenario of rejection example 2, P5 and P6 both are getting rejected, but P5 is rejecting earlier, faster than P6, and it is rejecting with some error occurred 1, and P6 is rejecting some error occurred 2. And over here you can see that this error.errors, so this code is the catch statement is actually running, and here you can see that we are getting aggregator error. So this is containing array of errors. Some error occurred 1, some error occurred 2. And even if we change the timings of these errors like this, and we clear the console and run it, you can see that the ordering is still the same. Okay, so the first error has to be of P5 and then of P6. So this was the Promise.any implementation of function for us, and I hope you understood it. This was completely opposite to that of Promise.all. And yeah, if you have any doubts, then please let me know in the Discord channel or in the community section. And see you in the next one.